There comes a moment in every person's life when the noise of the world becomes louder than the voice within. Expectations, comparisons, labels, and pressures begin to shape our choices. We start dressing differently, speaking differently, dreaming differently, not because it feels true, but because it feels accepted. And slowly, without realizing it, we begin to drift away from who we really are. Let me ask you something honestly. How many decisions in your life were made from your heart, and how many were made from fear of judgment? Many people wake up each day performing a role. They perform confidence while feeling insecure. They perform success while feeling empty. They perform happiness while feeling lost. The performance becomes so practiced that even they forget it is not real. But truth has a way of knocking, sometimes gently, sometimes like a storm. You were not created to be a copy. You were not designed to live someone else's script. Your voice, your story, your timing, your path. None of it is accidental. When you try to become what you are not, life becomes heavy. You feel tired without knowing why. You feel restless without knowing what's missing. What's missing is alignment, the match between who you are inside and how you live outside. Authenticity is not always comfortable. It will ask you to disappoint some people. It will ask you say no when you used to say yes. It will ask you to stand alone before you are understood. But it will also give you something imitation never can: peace. You don't need permission to be yourself, not from society, not from family, not from trends, not from approval. Your worth is not measured by how well you fit into expectations. Your worth is measured by how honestly you show up in your own life. Stop shrinking your personality to fit into small rooms. Stop editing your dreams to make others comfortable. Stop wearing identities that suffocate your spirit. The world does not need another imitation. It needs your original presence. When you choose authenticity, something powerful happens. Energy returns, clarity returns, courage returns. Doors begin to open that performance never unlocked, because truth has a frequency that attracts the right opportunities and the right people. So if you feel the tension inside, the feeling that you are living slightly off track, listen to it. That discomfort is not your enemy. It is your compass. Come back to yourself. Speak your truth. Walk your path. Live your design, because the greatest success is not becoming impressive. It is becoming real. One of the greatest silent struggles people face today is the pressure to impress others, and it often begins so subtly that we hardly notice it happening. We adjust our behavior to be liked. We reshape our opinions to be accepted. We redesign our goals to be praised. At first, it feels harmless, even practical. But over time, this constant adjustment becomes a burden, and that burden slowly turns into emotional exhaustion, mental stress, and deep identity confusion. When your daily choices are driven by how others will react, you are no longer living freely, you are performing. Performance requires energy. You must constantly monitor yourself, filter your words, calculate your actions, and predict responses. This ongoing self-monitoring drains your emotional strength, because you are never relaxed, never natural, never fully present. You are always on stage, and no one can live on stage forever without feeling tired inside. Impressing others also creates a dangerous habit: comparison. You start measuring your worth against someone else's achievements, someone else's lifestyle, someone else's personality, instead of asking, what feels right for me? You begin asking, what looks better to them? This shift is small in wording, but massive in consequence. Your inner compass stops guiding you, and external approval takes over. When that happens, your direction becomes unstable, because public opinion changes constantly. Another hidden cost is the loss of honest self-expression. You may silence your real thoughts to avoid disagreement. You may hide your interests because they are not popular. You may choose a respectable path instead of a meaningful one. Each time you do this, you send yourself a message that your true self is not good enough. Over months and years, that message turns into belief. And that belief turns into identity confusion. Identity confusion does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it appears as indecision, sometimes as low confidence, sometimes as feeling lost even when life looks successful from the outside. You may achieve goals and still feel strangely disconnected. You may receive praise and still feel empty. That emptiness comes from misalignment. You achieved what impressed others, but not what fulfilled you. Living to impress also traps you in fear. Fear of criticism, fear of failure, fear of rejection. Fear makes you play safe when your heart wants to play bold. Fear makes you follow when you were meant to lead. Fear makes you delay when you were meant to begin. Your potential becomes smaller, not because you lack ability, but because you are protecting an image instead of building a life. There is also a social illusion involved. Most people you are trying to impress are themselves trying to impress someone else. It becomes a chain of performance with very little authenticity anywhere. When everyone is acting, no one feels truly connected. Real connection happens when truth appears, when someone is honest, imperfect, and genuine. Breaking this cycle requires courage and awareness. You must start noticing your motives. Ask yourself, am I doing this because it matters to me or because it looks good to others? Am I choosing this path from passion or from pressure? These questions restore your inner authority. When you stop living to impress, something changes immediately. Your energy stabilizes, your decisions become clearer, your confidence grows naturally. You no longer need constant validation because your direction comes from within. And when your direction comes from within, confusion begins to fade. True strength is not built by applause, it is built by alignment. Choosing authenticity sounds inspiring when we hear it in quotes and speeches, but in real life it often feels uncomfortable, risky, and emotionally demanding. Being authentic means showing your true thoughts, your real preferences, your honest limits, and your natural personality, and not everyone will welcome that version of you. That is why many people delay authenticity. They confuse comfort with safety and approval with peace. But there is a deep difference between temporary comfort and lasting inner clarity. Discomfort appears first because authenticity removes masks. Masks are protected. They help you blend in, avoid conflict, and gain quick acceptance. When you remove them, you feel exposed. You may worry about being misunderstood, judged, or even rejected. Saying what you truly think instead of what sounds polite can feel dangerous. Choosing a path you believe in instead of one others recommend can feel lonely. Setting boundaries where you once said yes can feel selfish, even when it is necessary. However, discomfort is not always a warning sign. Sometimes it is a growth sign. Just like muscles grow through resistance, identity growth grows through honest expression. When you act authentically, you stretch emotional courage. Each honest decision strengthens self-trust. Each truthful word builds inner stability. You begin to realize that disagreement does not destroy you and rejection does not define you. That realization is powerful. Authenticity also simplifies life. When you're pretending, you must remember your performance. What you said, how you acted, what image you created, that mental load creates stress. But when you are real, there is nothing to maintain. Your words and your thoughts match. Your choices and your values match. This alignment reduces inner conflict, and with less conflict comes mental clarity. Inner clarity means you understand why you are doing what you are doing. Your goals are not borrowed, they are chosen. Your relationships are not forced, they are genuine. Your efforts are not scattered, they are directed. Clarity saves time, energy, and emotional resources because you are no longer chasing paths that do not belong to you. Another powerful benefit of authenticity is the quality of relationships it creates. When you present a false version of yourself, people connect with the mask, not with you. Even if they like you, the connection feels shallow. But when you show your real personality, you attract people who appreciate you for who you are. Fewer connections, perhaps, but deeper ones. And depth creates emotional safety, which is far more valuable than popularity. Authenticity also builds self-respect. Every time you speak your truth kindly, every time you honor your limits, every time you choose alignment over approval, you send yourself a message: my voice matters. Self-respect grows from repeated self-honoring actions. And once self-respect grows, confidence follows naturally. You no longer beg for validation because you are no longer disconnected from yourself. Peace is the long-term reward, not excitement, not applause. Peace, the calm feeling of not pretending, the relief of not comparing constantly, the freedom of not performing daily. Peace comes when your outer life reflects your inner truth. It is quiet, steady, and strong. Yes, authenticity may cost you comfort at the beginning, an agreement from everyone, and easy approval, but it gives you something far greater: a clear mind, a grounded identity, meaningful relationships, and lasting inner peace. And that trade is always worth it. One of the most common traps in personal growth and success is the habit of copying others instead of discovering what is uniquely ours. From a young age, we are shown examples of successful people who ideal personalities and winning lifestyles, and without realizing it, we begin to imitate rather than explore. Copying may look like progress at first, but over time it weakens originality, reduces creativity, and distances you from your true contribution. Every individual carries a different combination of strengths, experiences, perspectives, and emotional depth. No two life stories are identical, and because of that, no two contributions can be identical either. When you try to copy someone else's path exactly, you ignore the raw material that only you possess. You may reproduce their methods, but you cannot reproduce their inner wiring. This mismatch creates frustration because results feel forced rather than natural. Copying also creates dependency. Instead of asking, "What do I think?" you ask, "What did they do?" Instead of building judgment, you borrow decisions. This habit prevents the development of independent thinking. Over time, your confidence becomes tied to external models, and without a model to follow, you feel stuck. True growth happens when you learn principles, not when you duplicate personalities. There is nothing wrong with learning from others. Mentors, leaders, and role models are valuable. But learning is different from copying. Learning extracts wisdom, copying duplicates behavior, wisdom adapts to your nature. Behavior imitation ignores your nature. The difference is critical. When you learn wisely, you translate insight into your own style, your own voice, your own strategy. When you copy blindly, you suppress your individuality. Uniqueness is not only about talent, it is also about perspective. Two people can have the same skill but deliver it differently because their life experiences shape their interpretation. Your struggles, your environment, your failures, your culture, all of these give you a lens that no one else has. That lens allows you to see problems differently and solve them differently. That is contribution. Contribution is more powerful than imitation because it adds value instead of repeating value. The world does not move forward through repetition alone. It moves forward through variation, innovation, and personal expression. Even small originality can create meaningful change, a new approach, a new explanation, a new style, a new solution. You do not need to be revolutionary to be valuable. You need to be genuine. Another danger of copying is constant comparison. When you follow someone else's blueprint, you also measure yourself against their timeline and results. If they grow faster, you feel behind. If they perform better, you feel inadequate. But comparison loses power when you are building something personal. Your progress becomes self-referenced, not socially referenced. You measure improvement, not imitation accuracy. Developing your unique contribution requires experimentation, patience, and self-observation. You must try, adjust, fail, learn, and refine. At times it feels slower than copying, but it is more stable and more fulfilling. Skills built in alignment with your nature grow deeper roots. They last longer and evolve further. There is also a deeper truth. people are more impacted by authenticity than perfection. A genuine voice connects more strongly than a perfect imitation. Audiences, teams, and communities respond to realness because it feels human and relatable. Your natural expression, even with imperfections, creates trust. You are not here to be a second version of someone already known. You are here to be the first version of someone not yet seen. Your role is not to repeat, it is to add. And when you choose contribution over copying, you step into creative power, personal authority, and meaningful impact. True success is often misunderstood in our society. Many people measure success by wealth, fame, popularity, or external achievements, believing that reaching certain milestones will bring satisfaction. However, there is a deeper, often overlooked truth. Real success is not what the world applauds, but what resonates with your inner truth. Alignment between who you are inside and how you live outside is the foundation of genuine fulfillment, and it cannot be borrowed, bought, or imitated. When your outer life does not match your inner truth, tension builds quietly but persistently. You may achieve professional goals, but feel emotionally empty. You may be surrounded by people, but feel deeply misunderstood. You may have a lifestyle that looks impressive to others, but it feels heavy, disconnected, or unnatural to you. That tension is a sign, a signal from your inner self that something vital is being ignored. Ignoring it often leads to stress, dissatisfaction, and even chronic unhappiness despite apparent success. Alignment begins with self-awareness. You must know yourself deeply, your values, your passions, your strengths, your limitations, your fears, and your aspirations. Self-awareness is not superficial reflection. It is honest observation without judgment. It requires asking difficult questions. Am I living for myself or for the approval of others? Are my actions reflecting my beliefs or just societal expectations? Does my daily life honor my dreams or suppress them? Without this clarity, alignment remains impossible. Once awareness is achieved, the next step is courageous action. It is not enough to know your truth. You must love it. This may require making hard choices, saying no when you used to say yes, changing career paths, leaving relationships that no longer serve you, or pursuing opportunities that feel uncertain but meaningful. These decisions are often uncomfortable because they disrupt the status quo, but they are necessary to bridge the gap between inner truth and external reality. Living in alignment also cultivates consistency. Your words, thoughts, and actions begin to reflect the same values. You no longer feel divided between a work persona and a real persona, between public appearances and private truth. This consistency generates inner peace, reduces stress, and improves decision-making. When life is congruent, choices feel natural, not forced, because they originate from a place of authenticity rather than obligation. Furthermore, alignment magnifies impact. When your inner truth guides your life, you attract opportunities and relationships that resonate with your authentic self. People sense sincerity and integrity, and they respond positively. Doors that previously seemed closed or irrelevant begin to open, not because of manipulation or luck, but because your presence is genuine. Authenticity becomes magnetic, and fulfillment follows naturally. Alignment is not static, it requires ongoing attention. Life evolves, circumstances change, and so must your alignment. This means regularly checking in with yourself, assessing whether your current path reflects your evolving truth, and making adjustments as needed. It is a continuous practice of self-honesty and intentional living. Small daily choices, when aligned with core values, accumulate into a life that is both purposeful and joyful. Ultimately, success measured by alignment is resilient. It withstands criticism, competition, and societal pressure because it is rooted in self-knowledge rather than external validation. When your inner truth and outer life converge, achievements feel meaningful, relationships feel authentic, and each day carries a sense of purpose. This alignment is the quiet power that sustains long-term happiness and is far more valuable than any temporary reward. Remember, the world may define success by numbers, recognition, or influence, but the life that truly matters is the one where your actions reflect your values, your choices honor your dreams, and your presence is fully your own. Fulfillment comes not from what you accumulate, but from living as the person you were always meant to be. In the journey of life, the greatest challenge is not external obstacles, but the internal pressure to conform, to perform, and to become something you are not. When you spend energy trying to impress others, copying their paths, or living up to expectations that do not belong to you, you drain your spirit and create confusion in your identity. Real growth, peace, and fulfillment come when you pause, reflect, and reconnect with your inner truth. Authenticity may feel uncomfortable at first, but it is the gateway to lasting clarity, confidence, and inner harmony. By honoring your unique voice, embracing your experiences, and contributing in ways that only you can, you step into a life that resonates deeply with who you truly are. Alignment between your inner truth and your outward life is the real definition of success. Not applause, not imitation, but genuine, meaningful living. Choose courage over comfort, truth over approval, and presence over performance. Stop shrinking to fit into others' expectations and start expanding into the person you were always meant to be. The world does not need another copy. It needs your original self, fully expressed, fully alive, and unapologetically real. Live your truth, and success will follow naturally.